Hello, dear doers. We have successfully created a new app that allows us to add our secure places to our database. Great, but that's not enough. I also want to manage the reservations for these places. This way, I'll be able to quickly check the availabilities and write down the preparations required by our customers. First, we'll need to create a new model for our database in which we will store this kind of entry. Basically, Odoo Studio automatically created our first model that we called Places when we created the new app. The form view that we will design for these reservations should be quite simple. First, we'll add a many-to-one field that will connect to the Secure Places entries so we can select which one we want for the reservation. Then we'll add 2 date and time fields for the start and end dates. If needed, we can indicate which customer the reservation is made for with another many-to-one field linked to our contacts, but only for the contacts that are indicated as customers. And finally, the last field we will add is a simple multi-line text to insert any specific requirements that we'll need to prepare before the beginning of the rental. To make things easier, we'll also use the calendar view as the default view. This way I can quickly see the upcoming reservations and create new ones on the fly with one click. So let's see how to do this right now. All right, so here I am on my database, specifically looking at my new app, Secure Places. Now let's go ahead and customize this even more by toggling Studio. So I'm going to click on the tools at the top. And then we're going to click on Edit Menu. So I'm going to click on Edit Menu right now. Okay, and we're going to go to New Menu. And then, of course, we'll need a name for my new menu. So I'm going to call this Reservations. Okay, and then I'm actually going to create a model for this menu item. Okay, so I'm going to say Reservations. And then I'm going to click on Create and Confirm. All right, once I click on Confirm, I will click on Confirm a second time. And then we're going to go to reservations at the top. Okay, so I'm first looking at the list view, but I want to go to the form view. So I'm going to click on the form view button in the top right corner. All right, and we're going to go ahead and customize this a little bit. So first, let's select the name field here, and we're going to change the label. So I'm actually going to call this a reservation title. Okay, and I want this to be the placeholder text as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add it here. Reservation title. Okay, now once we've done that, we're going to start adding some fields. Let's go to Add. Well, the first one we're going to start with is a many-to-one field. So I need to select it, drag it and drop it. Okay, and of course, for the many-to-one field, I'm going to need to choose a relation. All right, so the relation here is going to be places. Now, I don't see it immediately on the list, but I'm just going to start typing. And then I can select places and confirm. All right, of course, I'm going to select this field. Okay, struggling a little bit. I'm going to select this field and I'm going to change the label. Okay, so I'm going to call this Secure Place instead of Places. And I also want this to be required. So I'm going to check the required box here. Okay, looks good. Now let's go back to Add, and we're going to add a couple of date and time fields. Now note, we also have just a regular old date field, but I don't want that. I want date and time. So I'm going to drag one, drag and drop, and then a second one as well. Okay, looks good. Let's go ahead and select the first one. We're going to change the label. We're going to call this Start Date. Okay, and then we're also going to make the start date required as well. So I'm going to check Required here. Okay, and then we're going to select the second one. This will be End Date. Okay, and of course the end date will also be required. Okay, so we're going to check Required. And then we're going to go back to Add and start adding some fields on the other column. All right, so we're going to add another many-to-one. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop, and the relation here will be contact, and then we're going to confirm. All right, I'm going to select this and change the label to customer, because actually for all of the contacts that I'll have here, I want it to be the contacts that are marked as customers. So what I'm going to do is actually select domain down here and add a filter. Okay, so while I have this field selected, I'm going to go to domain, select, and add a filter. Okay, so I want to say that my customers will match this record. Okay, so let's go to ID. All right, contacts, and then we're going to scroll down and we're going to say is a customer. All right, we're going to select that right here. Contacts is a customer is set. So this is true. The contact is a customer. All right, so let's save this. All right, and once we do that, we're going to go back to add, and this time we're just going to add a simple multi-line text. All right, drag and drop, select the field, okay, and I'm going to call this things to prepare. Okay, looks good. I'm not making it required this time. Now, that will be it for all of the fields that I add here, but I actually also want to add a pipeline status bar. So to do that, I simply have to click on add a pipeline status bar, okay? And then it will give me some values that I can go ahead and modify or remove if I need to. Okay, so I'm gonna modify what Odoo has already given me, and I'm also gonna create a new value as well. All right, so let's go ahead and edit this first one. I'm gonna call it an unconfirmed. Confirm. Okay, modify the second. This one will be confirmed. The third is going to be ready, confirm, and the last will be done. And then I'm going to click on this plus right here. And if I would like to change the order of this list, I can simply drag and drop. Okay, but I like it the way it is, so I'm going to click on confirm. All right. So we have our pipeline status bar right here. It looks really good. Okay, so let's go ahead and close Studio for the moment, and we're going to create our first reservation. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to call this res number 1. Okay, so I have my required fields here, so I need to add the secure place. So let's go ahead and choose one of the secure places that I've already created. Okay, I need to add a start date and an end date. The end date will be tomorrow, and then I can add a customer. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. So I'm going to say Fabien P. Okay, so I can either create or create and edit. But I'm simply going to create, and then I'm going to add the things to prepare as well. Okay, so just add some text here, and then save. All right, and then we can go back to our reservations, and we'll have that reservation right here. But what we're going to do is actually jump back to Studio. Okay, so I'm going to go to Studio, and while we're here on the list view, I'm going to go ahead and add some of the fields that I want to see from the list view. Okay, so the first one is going to be the secure place. Okay, so I'm going to drag it and drop it. I'm also going to add the start date and end date. Okay, and end date, and also the pipeline status bar. But actually, I don't want this to be called pipeline status bar, so I'm going to select it and change the label. So I'm just going to say status. I think that's nicer. All right, cool. So let's change the order here. So the reservation title is going to be first, and then the secure place, and then start date, and I'm going to make the status last. All right, there we go. Looks really cool. All right, but now let's go to views. So I'm going to click on views right here. So right now we're on list, but let's go to views, and we're going to activate the calendar view. So we're going to go to calendar. We're going to see activate view right here. So I'm going to click. And then for the start date field, I'm going to go ahead and choose my field start date, and the stop date will be the end date. And then we can click on activate view. Then I'm redirected to the new view that I just activated, and I'm going to go ahead and change a couple of things here as well. So first of all, I'm going to unselect quick create. Okay, and then for the color, I'm going to choose secure place. Okay, and then for the default display mode, I'm going to choose month. All right, so as you can see here, we also have day and week, but I'm selecting month, and then I'm going to go back to views. So I'm going to click on this button once again, and I'm going to click on these 3 little dots so that I can set this as the default. All right, so right now, before I do this, we're going to see that the default is the list view because I have this little house right there. But let's go ahead and set the calendar view as the list view for the reservations, as the default view, sorry, for the reservations. All right, cool. So let's close. Once we've done that, let's close this again, Studio. And we're going to create a second reservation. So I'm going to simply drag and drop here. All right, and we'll see that the start date and the end date are correct based on where I selected and unselected. We can choose our secure place, reservation title. Let's go ahead and say res number 2. Okay, we can even create another customer, AC, create, and there's nothing to prepare. Nothing. And save. Okay, I can even change the status right here if I would like to. Okay, ready? So that's really cool. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to jump to our places. Okay, we're going to go back to our places, and I'm going to go back to Studio. So I'm going to toggle Studio. Okay, I'm going to go to my form view right now, and I'm actually going to add a smart button right here from the Places form view. All right, so I'm going to click on this little plus right here. Okay, and I need to label my button. So I'm going to call this Reservations. Okay, I'm going to choose the calendar icon. All right, so let's go ahead and select that right here. And then I also need to select a related field here as well. So I'm going to choose Secure Places X Reservation. And then we're going to confirm. All right, once we do that, we're going to have the smart button right here. So let's go ahead and close Studio. All right, so from my secure place, I'm going to be able to see what has been reserved, okay, and when. Okay, so here I'm looking at my meeting room that I have with the Red Eagle Hotel. So let's go ahead and check out the reservations by clicking on this button right here. Okay, and then I'm going to see both of the reservations for this room. How cool is that? And how easy was that? As you can see, with Studio, there are so many possibilities, and creating a new app has never been easier. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.